Hi, good morning. Good morning. I think okay, I think I'm muted. Okay. So, welcome back. It's Monday. Gosh, what is it? July 11, 2022, and we're doing this series in relation to Documenta, the Alice Yard presentation at Documenta, of which the personal storytelling tool and workshop are part of. Okay, so let me do my spiel, okay? And then we'll move into everything. All right, so hi, welcome to the personal storytelling workshop. I am Oneika Russell, a visual artist based in Kingston, Jamaica. In this workshop, I use the personal storytelling tool, a card deck to create opportunities for social engagement and self-inquiry in my art practice. The tool is a card deck inspired by the artwork of Luigi Savon, Philip Thomas, Mafalda Mondestine, and my own work. So today we are going to read a poem. This week we're focusing on poetry, but whereas when we started the first week we were doing poetry from the Caribbean, I'm doing poetry that has relevance to the Caribbean, but it is North American or European in origin. So today we're doing a poem from North America. And then after that, we'll use the cards to reflect on the story and come up with alternatives, comments, conclusions, etc. And then we'll open to the public. And if there's no one here, then we will move on to do a general reading. Then we will close the session, okay? And this, if you're watching this on YouTube as a recorded session, of course participate in the comments, and let's see. This is a whole, this workshop has been a kind of residency for me, or a kind of self-imposed residency, an independent residency where I'm exploring this thing that I created, and it's totally experimental in nature. And as an artist who is not rooted in performance, but wanting to do things that involve people and clearly involve me as a part of the session, the work. Okay, so let's get going. No, so I think when I chose the books, I did go on a kind of I went to my local bookstore, Kingston Bookshop, and I bought all the books that had prose poetry that was of interest to me, and of course a lot of them ended up being the Miles Kelly books. So today we're using Great Poems by Miles Kelly. So I think so far I've used 3 Miles Kelly books. This is the 3rd one. I should be getting paid or something at this point for promotion. All right, so let's open to the page. I pre-selected them. I have been doing several. I think the first week I just chose on the spot. This week I chose them deliberately. I think that a lot of this is related to our life in the Caribbean in some ways, and I wanted to reflect on that today. All right, so the poem today we're using is Ain't I a Woman by Sojourner Truth. And so let's bring up our other camera. See if I can move my mic. Okay, so Sojourner Truth was born a black female slave when even white free women had few rights. She was freed in 1827 and spent the rest of her life campaigning for the rights of black people and women, rising to become head counselor of Freedman's Village in Virginia. Okay, so with my shaky camera, let's go. That man over there say a woman needs to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helped me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me a best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could heed me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man, when I could get to it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children, and seen most all sold into slavery. And when I cried out a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? That little man in black there say, a woman can't have as much rights as a man, 'cause Christ wasn't a woman. Where did your Christ come from? From God and the woman. Man had nothing to do with him. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, together woman ought to be able to turn it right side up again. Okay, and that's our poem. It's that's a lot to absorb in one go. Like it's very clearly written, clearly stated her case, very clearly explained. Okay, so I'm going to do my usual jotting, get my paper. This paper has the traces of all the sessions that we've been doing so far. All right. So some of the things that stand out to me in this poem by Sojourner Truth is I think she's looking for a kind of fairness. I think she's also trying to point out the flaws in patriarchy, let's see, or in patriarchal society. I think she's also trying to point out how there's a kind of idealized vision of a woman. Because in saying that, she's saying that she can do everything as much as a man and has done, but she's also a woman. Like, she's not included in the this vision or notion about women. Inclusion is what I'm gonna say. And she shows both realities in a way. She's showing I think she's showing how strong, like physically strong she has been and had to be, but also mentally strong, and how she has borne the very feminine kind of, how to say, raw emotion of being a mother who's lost children. Like, that is maternal, that maternal kind of trait is something she says that even though she's been powerful and strong, she's also been able to, she's also experienced the grief of maternity. It's not that she's swinging, it's not that she completely avoids the feminine, the maternal. She's experienced all of it, and what she's saying is that all of that belongs to the realm of being a woman. So I think she is talking about strength as well. She's talking about I don't know, this word is duality. Maybe let's put that down and see. In other words, like, women can be feminine and maternal, but they can also be like hard workers. They shouldn't be excluded because, you know, there's a kind of role for them. In a sense, I don't think women created that role. Yeah. And she talks about that man over there and this man in black. There's like, she's pointing out all these people in society that kind of police what she does or what she should be. So I'm gonna say roles. And then also, there's something here about so in other words, I think because she is talking about how she is a woman and experiences all the things that white women at that time would have experienced in terms of motherhood, etc., but also did not get any of the celebration, any of the things that this idealization of women and the role that they played kind of awarded them. She didn't receive that. So she was saying she was bearing all the things that a woman could bear in terms of the hardships and the emotional difficulty, but didn't get the flowers, you know, didn't get the awards, the gifts. So kind of no recognition. And based on that narrative, she was not considered a woman in that sense because she didn't get to celebrate all those things. It's kind of sad. But 13 children sold into slavery. I don't know, that's the kind of tragedy that I don't think very many considered. And I think because she was not seen as a woman, that she was not seen by society as like a genteel woman, which would have given her the awards, the praise, the glamour of being a woman. You know, if you were of a ruling class, then you would play your role, and then you would get to enjoy certain things. But she didn't get to enjoy those things, and also got a lot of things taken from her. Grief, I guess, is pretty big here. Alright, this poem gives so much to think about, so I'm tempted to just keep writing. But we're gonna move into the cards, looking at the cards. Oops. My notoriously difficult tin to get into. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna follow this exercise today. Choose 2 to 3 cards that appeal to you based on this. Normally I go through the list and I choose cards for each one, then I put it together, but today I'm just gonna choose 2 to 3 cards that appeal to me based on the story. Just, there's no logic, it just goes by feeling. Okay, I think I got my cards. I have many more than 2 to 3 cards. Let's see how we get along. Okay, so I think about her, this one where it's just feeling like, I feel like there's a kind of rejection, being rejected by society, being kind of left in the weeds as trash in a way. But she says, ain't I a woman? So there's a kind of understanding of her place in a way. She's had to believe she's a woman. And this came up twice because I think by the end of her life, she had taken her position, you know, of being council of the town in Virginia, which is pretty difficult in Virginia. Very well known as a site of a lot of slave stories in North America. All right, and I feel like this is her feeling, seeing like what this. So okay, how I thought is that society already viewed women as weaker. Women, white women, didn't have many rights, but she also had less rights, and a lot was kind of taken from her. So, in other words, she was the bottom rung of society, but gave so much, birthing 13 children who were sold into slavery. So, she produced 13 slaves, if you think about it like that. And also gave a very fair share of work, and also ruled and contributed to society. And then, she says something that I found interesting. She could eat as much as a man when she could get to it. So it means she was also not getting her fair share of even just nourishment. So she was, I think she was known to be like a small figure. So here's this like person who so much came from her, like was highly productive in many senses of the word, but received less. So I feel like there's this figure, and there's just this thing's being drained away from this person, even though there's like even a level above her that is still subject to oppressive rule. There is still somebody below that, and we have to look at that person. What is that person giving? And sometimes this idea of the subjected female is able to be propped up because of this person at the bottom in many ways. And then I thought about this one where she is, she's just like, I feel like this is like a warrior in a way. This is a fighter, just tied up a lot in terms of clearly had a lot of difficulties in life. Life did not roll smoothly, so much so that she wrote it in the poem. She's not gotten her accolades, even her fair share, even just her fair share, she's not gotten that, but still found a way to kind of formulate. And this must have produced a lot of issues internally in terms of that type of, I don't know, it would make someone very bitter, I think, if you had to go through that, and also hurt, traumatized. So I see a lot of that happening there. So if I look at this again, it's like telling me the story of let me just pin this so I can have the whole screen. Yeah, so we have this person who is kind of cast aside, but has had to kind of elevate themselves, even despite this sense of like knowing that she's probably never going to achieve that level. She's not going to achieve what other women have in that society. She has given a lot. She has definitely given a lot. And she, in her lifetime, started to work out some of the issues by becoming councilwoman of that town, Freetown, because in ways that I think maybe prior to any kind of feminist rights movement was definitely snatching what she was supposed to get. So there's a kind of definite fire and belief in self that existed, which you do have to say, like, for somebody that clearly suffered in certain ways a lot, and had to deal with a lot in her life. I can't even imagine what it's like to have 13 children lost. I just can't imagine. She remained free. Yeah. So, that is the reflection on Sojourner Truth. Ain't I a Woman? It's pretty, there's a lot to reflect on, but you know, what I love is that these poems, these passages allow me to, I don't know, allow us to explore things that you don't really think about. Yeah, I mean, I know that poem, but I've never sat and really dissected it like that. Other than, you know, the shock and pain of hearing it. But to see it through the cards, and getting to understand it in that way is pretty useful to me. So yeah, in this poem, we have fairness, flaws in patriarchy, idealization of woman, inclusion, strength, duality, roles, no recognition, and grief and loss. It's a lot. Okay, so we don't have anyone in the Zoom, so we're going to move into something a little bit different. Mason jars of water, midsummer, very important. All right, we're going to maybe just lay some cards out and just free associate. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to choose this one. I don't think I've done this in the workshop before. We didn't see the cards. So we're going to just construct a story, and if you are watching the recorded, please use this as a time where you can also join in. Okay, I'm going to get this one. Okay, so I couldn't pre-choose or think about what was happening. I just grabbed them. And so now we have to come up with a story that is a story. There's no kind of, I have to jump in, is what I'm saying. Okay. So, we do have, I think we have like the same figure here in different views. And something in between. I almost feel like this connects this to that. Okay, we have our meeting notification. All right, so 10 minutes to go. All right, so our 10-minute exercise is thinking about this, and this, and constructing a story. All right, I'm gonna give 30 seconds, and then I will move into my interpretation. So here it is. I should make this bigger on the screen. So we have, I think now if you have something, you can follow along with me, and then we can see. Okay, so here we have someone here who their eyes lurking behind maybe something like a vegetation. So it makes me think of lurking behind a bush, but it's this person is like their stars. This is some kind of being. This is not like a human. This is some kind of special being that's watching from behind the bushes that can see. Is that typical? I think in movies, suspense, drama, horror, you have a lot of this, like someone behind the bushes looking. It's a kind of very threatening idea. Then we have someone here who there's a hand which something is being drawn away from. Something is being it's like this line, this thing in the hand is maybe leaving or being added. So something here is being added to the hand or leaving. So our character here or person or figure, excuse me, could be watching this happen. Okay, so it's like a reality that's happening here, and this figure here is watching. So it's like an unknown watcher, but something is happening here. Could be between two, could be between one person working something out, but definitely there's a bigger kind of energy here that is keeping an eye on this. And then because of that, I think this is the same eye, and we have the same stars, so this could be the same figure. Something then, there's no longer hiding behind bushes, there's more visibility. So we have going from the hidden, going from a watching state to, I don't know, fixing something, compiling something, dealing with something here that's incoming or outgoing. And then that allows this figure is now in plain sight. So I wonder if this figure helped to fix something here, or the action that this figure took has direct effect on the figure, because now we don't have anything hiding. So maybe this pulling in or going out has caused a lot of these things that are in front, this plant-like, leaf-like structure, to be removed, or this figure feels like I can be seen now, I can be more visible. I don't know. What was your story? If you are watching on YouTube, please do put that below. But that's what I'm seeing, is that there's a transition of maybe how someone feels about themselves, but this person maybe there's a very powerful person, someone who is very has a lot of energy and a lot of potential, and then there's some process that had to happen. Maybe somebody had to touch that person in a particular way, or there's some process that had to be undergone, and then it's like in the end that person understands themselves more as a fully functioning person of power. Yeah. So yep, this is the story for today, and I want to thank you all for coming, and I want to thank you for if you're watching this again on YouTube or in any other platform. I'm here on Mondays and Wednesdays. You can find out more about this tool on www.onikarussell.net, and I hope to see you again. So we're gonna leave for today. Take care. All the best.